Hello and welcome to Hixxy Studio. In this video I am going to show you how to make this lovely little spring themed hanging wreath. I've got it on a piece of white card because it is actually acetate, and I've used some alcohol ink, and it would look really beautiful hung up in a window with the light shining through. Okay, so the die that I have used to create this, which is the main feature, is this Circle of Flowers. It's by Jeanine's art from the Happy Birds collection. So that's what we've used to create this. And then I've got some, like I said, some alcohol inks, and I'll also show you how I created the actual the ring too. So those to one side. So the base of this is 15 centimeter. It's called a half ring. It's a polystyrene half ring. And I've used some cheap ribbon. This is the sort that you can get in the kind of hobby shops, and it's like 15 meters for £1. Really good value for this kind of thing. You need about for this size ring, I've used about 4.5 meters. I don't measure exactly, but it's roughly 4.5 meters, and that gives you plenty enough to go around, and usually a little bit left over for the hanging part. Okay, so I have already started this one. Now the way I do it is I use a staple gun to secure as I go, obviously at the start, and then as I go around, I keep it fairly close, the staples fairly close to the inner, because if you look at the back, because I wanted to put the acetate on, I've used a ring here of card. This is Centura Pearl Ivory card that I've used to match the cream ribbon. So if you kind of go more towards the center, well, then it will cover it. So any staples that are here, like, will be covered. So literally, I've just pegged the last of my ribbon, and all I do is, and I usually have the bit I'm working on closest to me, excuse me, and I just try and keep some tension on it. So once I pulled it round, I put my thumb on it and then pull it round, and then, I mean, I'm not the neatest. I mean, I don't usually have it like that. So I usually have a big bundle and just shove it through. It works, whatever works for you. It is a lot of ribbon. You could do it in smaller parts if you wanted to. I prefer one long piece. And the thing with attaching the ribbon with the staples, and you could use an open stapler. You don't have to have a staple gun. You can dismantle it when you're fed up with this one, and you can revamp it with different colors or different dyes. So that's why I tend to staple. I'm not doing what I told you, which is to hold that there. Yeah, so they are they're not kind of a one-off thing. You can pull what I'm doing, you can pull this off and the back off, unwind the ribbon, and then you're back to a plain half ring like that. So it's the sort of thing you could decorate with all sorts. But we are using this beautiful circle of flowers. Feeling all fingers and thumbs doing this on the video. At home, I'm just like, because nobody's watching me. Not that particularly there's anybody watching me now, but you get what I mean. So you can see I'm coming to the end here, making sure it's overlapping, pulling it tight, pulling in this final little bit here. Do a couple of bits over like that. Okay, and then we'll pull it round to the back, pull it tight. I can see I've already got a staple there, so I'm going to be careful not to try to go over the same staple. And then I'm just going to put a staple in, okay? And then with my scissors, these are my lovely fabric scissors, ones I only cut ribbon and fabric with, there. So that's that done. That's all ready and prepped. And I have a piece here. I don't know how long this is. It's about 10 inches, which will be for the little hanging part at the end. Okay, so let's put that to one side, and let's have a look at the acetate with the alcohol inks. So I have used my larger nesting circle dies and cut. I know you can't see those very well, and I am going to put it on a piece of white paper for two reasons. One, it makes it slightly easier to see, but also it means I won't get a lot of alcohol ink on my mat. It isn't a problem. You can clean it up with the blending solution, but just for the sake of ease for me, my cleaning, I won't need to do it. So I'm just going to move that across there. Okay, so alcohol inks. I have I've kept, this is the one I did the sample with, and I've kept that because there is no reason I can't just put more ink on that. It's not a problem, even if they dry out. So I have peach Bellini. I don't know if they're going to stay up the right way. I have lemonade. I have shell pink. And then this is the one that produces most of the colour, the darker colour. That's watermelon. Okay, so you can see that these three come from the Lights collection of alcohol inks, and that kind of provided most of the cover. Excuse me. And then this is the one, the Bright, that really produces the pop of colour. So what I'm going to do, let me just stand those bottles up right. I am going to start with, just put the three of the lighter ones onto my little applicator. Now, you can see mine's a bit dirty, but I'm not too worried. It comes out. You can get these foam, these blocks on the website. You can use them for ink blending, ordinary ink blending, where you use the foam pads, but for this I just managed to splat. It's me trying to keep my mat clean, and look, I've splattered ink everywhere. Never mind. But for the alcohol ink, you need the felt, these little bits of felt. If I show you, and you can see I don't ever throw mine away. I keep hold of them. Not ever. Tend to keep them. Yeah, they're little bits of felt, and they go on the Velcro just like the sponges do. Okay, so I have already dropped some ink on there, but that's okay. So I am going to start by and you can see the difference. I do apologise, my Gemini is going rattle, rattle, rattle each time I do that. You can see the difference between it on the acetate, the beautiful light colour, which is what it's designed for, as against the paper, which is not really designed for. Alcohol inks are designed for using on non-porous surfaces, the sort that that don't absorb the colour in. Okay, and that's because the pigment is in the alcohol, and the alcohol then evaporates away, leaving the pigment on the piece. So you get the colour and the actual carrier of the colour, the colour, which is the alcohol, has gone. Okay, so now I've got my watermelon. You see, I've got my my base beautiful light colours there. I'm just going to put some little bits on here. I'm not going to cover the whole thing. I can always go back and do more. I'm just going to take a little bit off, and then I'm just going to go over. Now you can see that this really adds the pop of colour. I don't want it all that colour, which is why I started with the lighter ones, but it gives it the more of the pinky effect. So hopefully this is enough. If I press hard enough, this should be enough to cover both pieces of acetate. There we go. Okay. So I should just put that to one side. I'm going to put the lids on these. It's okay to leave the lids off, you know, while you're doing a project like this, but you do want to make sure you put them back on and screw them up tight, because the point of them is that the alcohol evaporates, and if you leave them open, that's exactly what will happen. The alcohol will evaporate. I mean, not immediately, but if you left them out for any long period of time, the alcohol would evaporate. So that's our two things, and they are pretty much dry already. You don't need to worry about drying time for those. Put out the way. Now, the other thing we need to do is to cut the die. So I have already, again with my, excuse me, my large dies home, I've cut my piece of the back, and you can see it covers up the staples, so that's there, and my ribbon is there for the back. We need to create this front. So I have this circle is the same size as the acetate. This is Centura Pearl Ivory, and then I have this piece of green, this textured basil, I think, type card to cut this. So in order to create this, we need to cut the die twice. So the first time we cut it, it will be on the green. The second time we cut it, it will be out of the circle. But what we want is what's left rather than the actual die itself. And that will hopefully become clearer when I actually show you. So let's get this, first of all, taped down. That. This is a lovely die. It's also one that really lends itself to paper piecing, and there is a video on our YouTube channel where I have actually used it for that. So I'm going to run this through the Gemini, and we're going to check that it's cut properly before I remove it all. Oh, here it comes. I'll just turn this over. Yep, that looks good. Oh, there's already pieces on there, so I'm just going to clean those off my board. Oh, started making a mess already. That's there. Okay, so let's take the tape off, and I'm going to make sure that this die is nice and clean before I put it through, because although I don't want the one that I cut in cream, it's the sort of thing that you don't want to just waste. It can go in. I have a little box of not box, I have a little folder with you know, all sorts of things that, you know, particularly when I'm prepping, and I might die cut extra just in case. They all go in into a folder, and then you've got some really nice things ready to make some quick cards when you need to make something in a little bit of a hurry. So let's give that a bit of a brush first, and then grab my pokey tool. Okay. And I've got my old one here, a bit manky looking. I can't see my nice new black one. I'll have a look at that later. Okay, so that comes out nicely. We'll just give it a quick check. All the pieces are out, that's good. We'll just have a quick check of the die. Most of the pieces are out. Give that a little helping hand to finish cleaning. This is why I don't, I have two of these tonic. This one's tonic, I think the other one's Tim Holtz, which is also tonic, but this one I always use for gluey things, as you can see. It's my black one is the one I tend to use for this kind of thing, because it's nice and clean. But not to worry, this is still doing the job. Still doing the job, needs must. That bit there. Woo! Right, so the die is clean, ready for the next cut. So we are just going to get rid of the waste from there. And then we're going to just place this on here. And if you're going to do this and you're looking for a die, the size of die, you just literally want one that's slightly bigger. You don't want one that's too big because it'll overwhelm the wreath, but just big enough because we want the outside of this die, not the inside this time. So we're going to stick this back through. Excuse me for reaching across. Everything's wrinkling up. Bear with me a moment. There we go. Right. So put this plate and that goes through. So once this is out, I'm not going to worry about cleaning the die the second time. I can do that later. Because what we want is just the outside. So I'm literally going to take the tape off. There. That's the bit we want. I'm going to leave that in the die and I will deal with that later. But it's not something I will throw away. It's definitely something to keep. Now, the easiest way I found of working out how to put this together is this little flower here. That's the most easily identifiable little bit. Okay, so this now slots in there. So I'm going to turn it over and I want to make sure that this isn't going to move. So all I've done is I've used a really, really thin, I think it's something like 6mm. I don't know, I've got my inches side. It's, I think, the pretty much the thinnest tape, the thinnest double-sided tape you can get. And I have literally just tearing small pieces and then bits where there's not any die cut through, like there. I'm just going over with a piece of tape to join the green part to the cream part. So just going round and securing that. I'm not doing it on these parts. It's the bits that you're not going to see anything through that I am doing, and those are enough, particularly when you stick it onto the acetate. They are enough to hold it in place. Okay, so let's start there. Some over here. We can have quite a big bit there. Across all of this here, and across this bit here. So there are some good sort of anchorage points, if you like. It's just to make sure that this, I can now hold this up. This isn't going to fall out. Okay. Right. So now this is my gluey one, which is good. So now I am going to use my pokey tool to just take off the backing from these pieces of double-sided tape, because they act as an extra little bit of glue when I'm gluing this to the acetate in a moment. With any double-sided, really make sure you've pushed it down so that the adhesive is bonded to the card before you try and peel the backing off. Otherwise, you'll just take the adhesive with it. And that might be the last piece. Oh, that hasn't bonded at all. There we go. So that's all of the backing tape off. Let's remove that. Okay, and I'm going to use, working, grab a piece of card again. And I'm going to use the Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue because this dries clear. So if I should get any showing onto the acetate, then it will actually dry clear. Just making sure this is coming through, because I haven't quite happy. Normally I've got it blocked at some point, so there we go. So I'm now putting this glue on all the large bits that I can see of the dye, and I'm also going to put it around the edge of the cream ivory, like there we go, and then around the edge. Okay, and this is what will stick to the acetate. Okay, so I'm going to stick it with the this is the part I inked on. You can tell it just feels just slightly tackier, not tacky, it's hard to describe, but you can tell which side you've inked on, and I want that inside. So this is just the plain acetate, if you like. So just stick that onto my circle there, and just give that press down, and move that side, and then I'm going to stick this similar again. I'm putting the tacky side, the side that I have inked onto, sort of inside Wreath, and this time I'm just literally putting glue around the inside of that ring, which will be enough to put the acetate on there. Okay, right, so this bit is going to stick to the front, and you might think, well, how on earth are you going to do that? And I can just see I've managed to slip that. Is it going to make? Yeah, I am just going to trim that because it'll annoy me otherwise. I've just, if you can see, slightly got the acetate showing outside of the ring, and it will annoy me. So I'm going to be very picky and just glue there as well. Not to worry. So yeah, so I cut that bit off. It is quite easy. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's do the back first. So that's the bit I just cut off. I was thinking, why is that not stuck? Okay, so I'm going to start by taking the ribbon, and I am making a loop, if you can see, like that, so that when you look at it from the front, you see the nice side of the ribbon all the way around. So we're going to do, she says I'm doing it the wrong way. We're going to put that there, and again I'm just trying to make sure that that's going to disappear underneath the ring. So I'm just going to use, again, I'm going to use a staple gun, and then this, as you see, then I've got a little bit of ribbon showing, so I'm going to grab my scissors and just trim that bottom bit off the ribbon so that doesn't show through. There we go. So now that's all hidden under there, and literally I'm going to use acrylic glue. You don't need fabric glue, you can if you want, but I am literally just using the acrylic glue there. It does take slightly longer to dry, but it will dry. So now I chose this size circle, and I think bear with me, it's the inner of this is the absolute inner is 10, I think, and this part across here, I think is 12, and I've gone for about 13.5 centimeters. So it needs to be big enough that it's going to sit on this, because all I'm going to do is put glue around the very edge of this, which will then adhere to the ribbon on the wreath. So literally around the edge. Excuse me, I find it easier to, I don't know why, but I find it easier to hold it that way. I probably look very awkward with it, but I do find it easier. So I am literally just around the edge, and it is enough to hold it in place. I know, not smear it all. Okay, so I've got glue around the edge. Now, the other thing I want to do is make sure I placed it up. I quite like it, as you can see on this one, with the big flower sort of at the top and to one side. So if I put that round, I'm looking kind of like that placement there. Okay, there we go. And just to finish it off, I have used some now I've got two things in here. I have got some pearls, which I am going to use, but I've also got these. I have no idea. They're in my stash. I think they're called dewdrops, but I have no idea, but they're so old. These are sort of things that you can colour. I could colour these with the alcohol inks to match. So it's kind of a personal choice, but we'll go with the big pearls on those 3 flowers. I'll put those away in a minute. And glue. I'll use this glue again. Little blob in there. And one there. Put the lid back on my glue so it doesn't dry out. And oh, this is in need of a sharpen, I think. Yeah, let's move those off. 1, 2, 3. Right. There. That one. And I just need to make sure it's picked the adhesive up, because that went into a little recess onto the acetate. And then that one on there. And there you have your spring wreath. Okay. So recap on what we used. So I have used this lovely circle of flowers die from Jeanine's Happy Birds collection. I used alcohol inks. I used peach bellini, shell pink, watermelon, and lemonade. And then the cream card is Centura Pearl Ivory. So you could do this in any colour combination you like, whatever colour ribbon you've got, card, alcohol inks. You can, completely customise it to whatever you like. But hopefully you've enjoyed that, and thank you for joining me.